Welcome, everyone. Today we'll be talking about rebuilding a solid foundation for 4-H meetings. My name is Ashley Meredith, and I'm the 4-H educator in Trumbull County.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alisha Faudie, and I'm the 4-H educator in Geauga County.
So help us help you. I'd like you to reflect on some of the current challenges you have in your club. Are you happy with the current meeting structure? One of the things Alisha and I suggest is keeping members engaged, especially for some of those early arrivals. We have a suggestion of using either a drawstring bag or tote and include some simple activities within the tote, whether they are activity books, a deck of cards, mini games, or picture riddles, just to name a few. So Alisha will be diving into the yearly club meeting structure and suggestions on how the meeting flow should go throughout the year. And one of the tools that we can use to help organize our meetings is the 4-H Club Yearly Meetings at a Glance worksheet. I require this for my county to give me a snapshot of what each club is planning to do throughout the year. See, it helps organize the meeting, date and time, location, any welcoming activities, the business side, for educational, recreation, and refreshments. Again, this just kind of gives the advisor a way to organize their meetings and plan them out for the year.
All right, as we take a look at our meetings throughout the year, typically our first meeting is a pre-organizational meeting. This is typically when your advisors all get together and they kind of lay out a very rough draft for their year. They talk about where the clubs are going to meet, maybe organize the calendar of specifically what days. They can also start to review your club constitution and bylaws. The bylaws is where you're allowed to have the governing outline for your club and decisions can be made. So this is where we're going to prepare that for member discussion. Also, volunteers at this time should familiarize themselves with upcoming deadlines at their county level and or state. The one thing we like to suggest to our advisors is that we also set goals. What is your goal for the upcoming year as an advisor? Okay, our first meeting is a very basic meeting. This is where we talk about the yearly club overview. We start to dive into some planning for the club for that year. We talk maybe possible fundraiser activities, what our community service project would be. This is also where you can talk about your officer elections, overview of what the jobs are for the president and the vice president and such. Also, you might want to form committees if your club does that. Do you have a committee that oversees the fundraiser activities or maybe even your fair booth? So 2 to 3 meetings throughout the year. We're going to go over a few things. One is new family orientation. Our 4-H clubs provide a warm, welcoming environment for all of the members and their families. So it's important that we make sure that our new families are oriented to everything in our club, our county rules, our club expectations, even the expectations you have as an advisor for them. We also have learning within our club. This is where we talk about rules, expectations, the officer elections, maybe some guest speakers, and even what your project requirements are. There's a lot of doing involved by 4-H. You know, we learn by doing, so this is where that comes into play. We have team building activities, demonstrations, field trips, and also socialization is very important. Sharing is something that is big as well. We do project work. We have resources, tips, and tricks for that. Okay, so 1 to 2 meetings are typically geared towards fair prep and or project completion. So this is where members work together to make sure that their project book is fully completed. They're practicing for skill-a-thon or their interview judging. And we also talk about club-based fair events. Does your club do a fair booth? Do you decorate stalls? Is there some bigger event that your club takes place in during fair that needs to be prepped for? One of these meetings would be dedicated to that. And typically the last meeting we have throughout the year is our reflection meeting. This could be your annual get-together meeting, your holiday party, your picnic. We talk about what we learned, how did we do, what are our areas of strengths and areas of improvement, what is our point of pride. And we also do our year-end celebration of recognition at that time if you hand out certificates or pins or high point awards or maybe even officer completion awards.
So one of the things Alicia and I have implemented is a meeting checklist. And again, at the end, if you would like a copy of this, please let Alicia and I know. So this pre-meeting checklist helps establish, again, another piece of organization. Do we have the meeting logistics in place? Do we have our business side organized? Who is in charge of refreshments, etc.? And so you'll see that you can put the person or delegation of the member in charge or person in charge, and you can also jot down some notes to help you. And so we're going to dive into each one of these sections more in depth. So the first is meeting logistics. Where will your club meet? Is there a certain location that might work best for the group size? And so a lot of times clubs choose to meet in the same location, use the same weekday in the same time. So whatever works best for your club and members, kind of get the information from them. And is it feasible for the club? Is your location able to fit the whole club? And most importantly, is it promoting a safe and welcoming environment at all times? Next, we touch on communication, which is very important when reaching out about meeting and event notifications. So some of the different modes that clubs can use, and these are just a few examples, is email, social media, different apps using the smartphone, or just a general calendar. You'll see on the right-hand side of the slide, there are some suggestions that we have used that have been successful, whether it's Facebook, the Remind app, or Slack app. You can, again, assess what might work best for your club. And when communicating with club members, it is important to remind them multiple times, sometimes using multiple modes of communication, just to make sure nothing is missed. Communication is also important for club officers, assisting them with either making the agenda or with the reports. You can also use these methods to follow up with guest speakers and also share correspondence from your educators, such as a 4-H newsletter. Moving on to the club meeting wheel. A lot of you may be familiar with this, but in case you are not, so the club meeting wheel should be half made up of education and 25% business, or the side of the meeting where club members vote, and then 25% is recreation and social time. It's very important to consider time management. What's an ideal meeting length for our club, and what is the time frame that we need to accomplish all of these items? And then next we dive into the business side. It's important to have an agenda. And so we encourage you to follow the order of business listed on the slide if you are not already doing so. In 4-H, we utilize parliamentary procedures or Robert's Rules of Order to guide our meetings. And these meetings are officer led, and we encourage our officers to lead the meeting so that they have an opportunity for leadership. And one of the references or tools that is important for our officers to have is this parliamentary procedure pocket guide, which is available for purchase. And so we encourage our officers to utilize that tool.
Okay. So we know that 50% of our club meetings are directed towards education. So how are you completing the educational requirement in each club meeting? There are various ways that we can accomplish that. We can attend clinics or workshops. We can bring in guest speakers that are covering a specific maybe project area or life skill area. A lot of clubs also choose to take field trips. We go out into the field, into the industry, and we see how everyday operations work. We also have project assistance. This can be something where you can pair an older, more experienced member with a younger individual and let them guide them through the project. It's also recommended that you utilize your health and safety officer if your club has one. This individual can give speeches and demonstrations to your club that will fulfill the educational component. Recreation and social time is also important. We know that that's 25% of our meetings. And so how do we get our youth members engaged? We do that through team building activities. Games can be indoors or outdoors depending on your meeting location. We also do club outings. This might go along with your field trip that is to the local park, or you might choose to go visit a museum or take a tour of the IX Center. There's various outlines that you can use. One thing that we do ask is that you remember that 4-H is comprised of many different ages, and ages and stages come into play. So activities should be inclusive to all, whether that is everyone doing the same activity or an activity structured for your older youth while simultaneously doing an activity for your younger individuals. Okay, when we handle announcements, typically at the end of a meeting, we can reiterate what we've talked about, get those key points across. And this would be any incoming approaching deadlines, upcoming events at the local and or state level, and also your county requirements and your club requirements. Okay, be sure to utilize a county and state websites for this. Typically in Ohio 4-H, it's yourcounty.osu.edu, and the 4-H state page has a lot of information as well. Well, quickly, we talk about refreshments. Obviously, snacks and refreshments are always a fun part of our club meetings. Just be mindful that some of your members may have allergies, and be aware of those allergies while serving refreshments. Okay, we also need to look at parental involvement. We like that parents are involved in our club meetings, but not too involved. Okay? So think about your club meeting. Where do your parents sit? Do they sit right beside their youth in the meeting? Or do they sit maybe towards the back so they're kind of out of the way a little bit? We know that our meetings, and 4-H in particular, is all member organized and member driven. So the members should be one making the decisions. By making the parents sit off to the side, it gives the members a little bit more independence to make those decisions. Okay? Also, just remember that your parents should not be providing substantial leadership unless they are a screened volunteer. So we can utilize our parents to help set up tables or take down chairs, maybe help organize the game activities, or even set up refreshments. But what our parents cannot do is be in a supervisory role alone with youth members without another screened individual. Okay, so we also talk about behavior, attendance, and a cell phone policy. So one of your jobs as a volunteer is you have to mediate those disruptive behaviors, whether that is parents sitting in the meeting being disruptive, fellow 4-Hers being disruptive, or even some of our volunteers. Okay, so how do you handle that? Do you have an outline in place of the steps you would take to address those behaviors? Does your club have a minimum attendance policy? Most counties do have a minimum attendance policy requirement that members have to meet in order to be eligible for participation. Clubs can choose to go above and beyond that requirement, and this would be outlined in your club bylaws. Also, it's recommended that you have a no cell phone zone at your club meetings. So this is something where you can collect phones upon enter, or you just remind them to turn everything on silent or vibrate. Removing phones also removes the distraction and keeps members engaged. Okay, to make the best better, so we need to reflect on what our own club's management skills are. You know, do you have areas that need improvement? At the beginning of this presentation, Ashley asked us to think about our own club and what we could improve or what we can help streamline. Be sure to use the pre-meeting checklist as a tool to help you prepare, and also seek help from other advisors, and remember that your County 4-H educator is always there to lend a hand if needed. So thank you for watching, and we wish you the very best of luck in the 2024 H year.
And if you would like to contact us in the future to get access to some of our worksheets that we've implemented, our emails are listed on the slide below. Please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you and have a great year.